10 years from now, this is what Teen Vogue's gonna be known for.
You gotta be so good that they can't ignore you, especially the ones that ain't done shit for you. Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. They stab you in the back and then they ask why you're bleeding. I don't trust words, I trust actions. I don't care what you heard, I'm not slacking.
My name is Alan Roberts. This is Every Damn Day Fitness. Like, subscribe, click the notification bar right over there. Share my videos, subscribe to my second channel, Alan Roberts. In my opinion, of course, just click the button below at the end. And thank you very much, Teen Vogue. Teen Vogue's running a series called The F Word, which upsets me on so many levels. The smallest probably of which is that they stole the title from my spirit animal, Gordon Ramsay. Gordon, please sue them. I will dance a jig on camera if you sue them. They stole it. He has a TV show called The F Word. He's one of the only people I watch on TV, just to be real. And they stole his title for The F Word for a series of what it is to celebrate what it is to be fat. And I put this on my Instagram. That's Every Damn Day Fitness on Instagram. You should go check that shit out, by the way. But I put this on my Instagram the other day, saying if we replace the F with S and fat with skinny, for this article or for this series, the outrage would be deafening. It would be amazing, because you know why? We've done that before in the past. Fashion industry and fashion magazines like Teen Vogue and everything like that have had very ultra thin, not healthy models on there. And the outrage was crazy. You know why? Because young women who follow the magazine were taking the lead. They were being influenced by the magazine, which is what the magazine wants to have happen. It's what they want to do. They were being influenced by the magazine, and they were developing a poor relationship with food and getting too skinny. So the public rose up and said, this is not healthy. Public, where the fuck are you right now? This magazine and others like it, like Cosmopolitan, are selling a narrative to your young daughters, to the young women of the world, that being fat is in some way glamorous, that being obese is in some way healthy. And it is obese, by the way, because they say fat, but they don't have fat models. They have morbidly obese models. Last week they had Tess Holliday, morbidly obese, and Miss Stewart, morbidly obese, talking about what it is, how awesome it is to be fat. And that is just not true. In the article I'm about to tear apart, they actually cherry-pick a cherry-picked study where they're trying to almost state that you can be healthy and obese. You can be healthy metabolically only, in a moment in time. The article itself and the study itself does show, if they would actually show the data, that you cannot stay that way. It does show as the person would get older, they develop more problems. And I will always state this, as long as you live in the world that has gravity. If you are morbidly obese and you're carrying 100 to 200 to 300, 400, 500 pounds extra on your frame, every time you take a step, you are unhealthy, because you are damaging the joints of your body, your ankles, your feet, your knees, your hips, your lower back. You are damaging yourself. You are damaging yourselves in so many ways, it's unbelievable, because your body was not designed to carry that much load. So every time you do it, you are damaging yourself. You are damaging yourself way past what it can be for what your body can adapt to. You just are. And it lowers mobility, and then when you lower mobility, you then gain more weight. It is this vicious cycle that obese people have to go through, many of which, by the way, have eating disorders, because eating disorders are rampant in our society right now with how much processed sugar we have in food and how easy it is to get food with Uber Eats and Postmates and all that shit. So young kids already have a very poor relationship with food. Most of them don't know how to cook, and most of them are taking in about 3 to 10 times the amount of sugar that is recommended in a given day. So they're already behind the 8 ball, so to speak, on type 2 diabetes in the future. And yet alone to tell them that they don't need to lose weight, that somehow being obese is glamorous, is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely foolish. So the article we're talking about today is from Teen Vogue, The Price of Being Fat, a look at the hidden and not so hidden charges many people face because of their weight. It's by Hillary George Parkin. How are you, Hillary? August 27th, 2019. It's in the series The F Word, is a series celebrating what it means to be fat, from destigmatizing the word to taking stock of the discrimination fat people face. I'm just going to say a few things about that. First of all, again, if we change it to skinny, people will be crazy. But when you talk discrimination, like when people start saying, you're being discriminated against because you're fat, it kind of flies in the face of people that actually face serious discrimination, just to be real, because you're not being discriminated against. Like, society isn't discriminating against you. 70% of society is overweight. 40% of society is obese. Almost, you can look at Congress. So many politicians, fat, overweight, obese. You're not being discriminated against. You're not being held back. If anything, you're holding yourself back. One of the things that the article talks about is clothing, like the fat tax on clothing and everything like that. How it costs more for clothing than people of smaller sizes. This is an extra large shirt. If I wear double extra large, it normally costs about $1 or $2 more, and I normally do wear double extra large just because it's more comfortable and it fits my shoulders. I know I'm going to pay $1 or $2 more extra for the double extra large because they just need more material, and the shirt needs to be made differently because of the length between my shoulders. So there's different stitching. Oftentimes it's a thicker fabric, so it needs to be like a kind of a different fabric too. It needs to be a sturdier fabric to hold up to the threads and the distance between the threads. It's just reality. So when things you are consuming take more resources, they're going to cost more. It's just like when you go to a restaurant, when you order a steak, and you shouldn't get more steak at the same price as somebody else that got the same steak because you're hungrier. It's not how that works. Just because you want to consume more resources doesn't mean you shouldn't pay for it. It means you should pay for it. So one of the things that gets brought up often that people say they're being discriminated with when it comes to their size is travel. The stress, and this article says, the stress of flying is all more acute when you don't know whether an airline will accommodate you or whether you will be seated next to a person that makes their discomfort with your body known to everyone around you. Many airlines require passengers to buy an extra seat or upgrade to first or business class if they can't lower both armrests or close their seatbelt with one extender. Some airlines require passengers to buy an extra seat if a belt extender is needed at all, or if their body extends more than 1 inch beyond the seat. In some cases, as with Southwest, a refund for the extra seat may be granted after the flight, but in others, passengers may be saddled with a bill of several $100s or more. The National Association of Advancement for Fat Acceptance, NAFA, published a travel guide for people of size that includes airline policies and other tips. A couple things on this. First of all, I was 260 pounds once. Never once had problems putting both armrests down. Never once. And I would often turn sideways because the person sitting next to me, see, I'm a person that actually respects other people's, financial investments and other people's, efforts. So when the person sitting next to you has paid for their space also, they have every right to be a little shitty if you are taking up some of the space they paid for. If they paid for the same space you paid for, why should you get to use some of theirs? I don't get that. I personally try to use just one armrest because that way the person sitting next to me also gets an armrest. It's not very fair to you think that you should be, and what this article says, accommodated to. You're looking for a special privilege. You're looking for an accommodation. That is not how shit works. That is not equality. You are looking to be accommodated. There is difference very clearly in what you're asking for. You are no longer asking to be treated equal by the own article, what it's stating. You're asking to be treated special. You want an accommodation. You want to be able to use other people's resources that they paid for simply because you have chosen to be larger. That is just true. And it is to me rude as fuck. It really is to be complaining that you're being charged extra when in the other cases you would be using somebody else's resources. That's rude. That is truly rude. That is privilege on a whole other level. It really is. That is a first world privilege on a whole other level. It's kind of amazing to me. And as for not being able to put the armrest down, that means you're very obese. Just to be real, I've traveled with a friend of mine who was like 325 pounds, still could do it, didn't even need a seatbelt extender. So if you can't fit in with one seatbelt extender, you definitely should be buying a second seat. And I know that may upset a few of you, but be realistic. Why should you be able to use up somebody else's space? It's not in any way fair. That is you looking to be treated special, not an accommodation. So it does talk about furniture and a few other things in here, but I'm going to get to the healthcare portion because I think this is very telling and misleading, very misleading. It reads, healthcare. First things first, no, being fat doesn't mean someone is unhealthy, just as being thin doesn't mean someone is healthy. In fact, one study out of UCLA analyzing the health data of more than 40,000 Americans found that BMI alone is an inaccurate gauge of health, leading to the mislabeling of more than 54 million people as unhealthy when in fact they are not. Still, per capita medical spending among those whose BMI classifies them as obese has been estimated at $1,429, or 42% higher per year than people from BMIs that fall within the ranges classified as normal. There are several reasons why that care may be so pricey for heavier people. However, some of which you might expect, excess weight is associated with higher risk of conditions like diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, and heart disease, and others you might not. Some doctors won't treat patients above a certain weight threshold, for instance, which may force people to go out of network and incur the associated cost. Others may misdiagnose conditions, unable or unwilling to look beyond a patient's weight. The costs may pile up as patients seek doctors to properly diagnose their problem, or even doctors who will take them seriously. Research has shown that weight bias can lead physicians to spend less time with patients and recommend lifestyle changes over medication. Internalized weight bias itself can also take a toll on an individual's mental and physical health. That was so much bullshit, I can't even get past it. First of all, I do love how it say BMI alone. When it says you can't tell if a person is unhealthy simply by their weight, I challenge any of you to look at a 400-pound person and tell me they're healthy. Even a 400-pound powerlifter and tell me they're healthy. A 400-pound anybody, no matter what their body composition is, and tell me they're in some way healthy that they can expect a normal lifespan, like a long lifespan. I challenge any of you. I really do. Because I've had people be like, well, what about the strongmen? They're not healthy. They admit they're not healthy. Straight up. What about NFL linemen? They really admit they're not healthy. You can't be that big. Like, I've said it before, like, if Shaq could admit that he wasn't healthy at 350, 370 pounds, and this is somebody else's quote, by the way, but if he can admit he's not healthy, he's like 7'2". If you're 5'5" and you're 350, guess what? You're not healthy. That is pandering on a whole other level. The study that they cherry-picked is so incomplete, it's crazy. It's built off of this other study that has people self-report on things, including pregnancy and weight and height and blah, 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 and they do weigh them. But a couple things about the study. It actually proves that as a person gets older, if you look at the data, if you look at the chart, it proves that as the person gets older, they become unhealthy if they're obese. Like they take a look at metabolically healthy people, obese people, which again, as long as you're walking on joints when you're morbidly obese, you're not healthy. But metabolically healthy, they classify it. As they get older, by their own charts, the person develops health problems. It just is in there. They just choose not to say that because they want to make it seem like it is okay to be fat or obese. They want to make it seem like this because that's what's selling their magazines right now. To teens. That's why this is dangerous. To teenagers. They then say, well, it is associated with all these other all these other risks. Yes, if you are metabolically healthy and you are in your 30s, and you've been metabolically healthy your entire life, and you've been obese your entire life, expect your 40s to start sucking pretty hard. Just expect it. If you eat, 5 to 10 times the amount of sugar that you probably should in a day, expect some diabetes. You should expect it. And if you're 400 pounds, the amount of food you have to put in yourself, unless you have some sort of serious metabolic disorder, like a very tiny percentage of you, unless you have that, you're eating tons of calories, which normally comes associated in our society today with extra sugar intake, with extra saturated fat intake. You're not going to be healthy. You cannot treat your body like shit and expect it to last. You cannot pound your joints into oblivion, stuff your fucking arteries full of saturated fats and eat tons of sugar and expect you to live a long life. You can't. I understand you wish you could, and if you're a fan of Teen Vogue, wake up. If you're a fan of Teen Vogue and you're upset at me right now, that's fine. But at some point in time, it's going to sink in your head. You're not healthy. If you are a teenager and you're morbidly obese, if people are making fun of you, fuck them. Fuck them. Don't concern yourself with them anymore. If you're a morbidly obese teen girl, wear whatever the fuck you want to wear. Say whatever the fuck you want to say. But do that all while you're trying to get healthy. Okay? You're gorgeous, you deserve a great life. Every teen out there deserves a great life. You can have one if you're healthy and you can live a long time. If you are not, think about the things you will not be able to do. Think about, and it's not because you can't travel. Think about hiking through the woods. Think about the sights you're going to miss seeing. Think about walking through the cities. Think about walking through New York City. Things you can't do. You can't do. Think about those things. Don't let Teen Vogue tell you that it's okay, because you know deep down, your survival instincts know it's not okay. Don't lie to yourself. The worst lie anybody can ever tell is to themselves. So don't lie to yourself. Don't let Teen Vogue steal your future by convincing you it's okay, that you're fine being morbidly obese. Don't let them steal away what you could accomplish. Don't let them steal away, seeing grandchildren being born. Don't let it steal away having kids being born, because when you're morbidly obese, it's harder to get pregnant, harder to hold pregnancy to term. So Teen Vogue leading young women to the point where it is okay to be obese, where you can't tell if somebody's healthy but if they're morbidly obese. Fuck you, Teen Vogue. Stop lying to your goddamn audience. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. My name is Alan Roberts. Hit me up on Instagram at Everydamnday Fitness. Hit me up on Twitter at Everyday Fit. I'm also on Facebook at Everydamday Fitness. And I'm on the internet at everydamndayfitness.net. God damn.